Welcome back. From presidents to revolutionaries, this video explores the graves of influential world leaders whose decisions changed the entire world. Thomas Jefferson died July 4, 1826, buried at Monticello, Virginia. Author of the Declaration of Independence and third U.S. president who influenced early democracy. Julius Caesar died March 15, 44 BC, buried in Rome. Roman general and dictator whose assassination ended the Republic and altered world history. Abraham Lincoln died April 15, 1865, buried at Oak Ridge Cemetery, Illinois. Led the Union through the Civil War and abolished slavery before his assassination. Napoleon Bonaparte died May 5, 1821, buried at Les Invalides, Paris. Military strategist who redrew Europe's map before exile and death on St. Helena. George Washington died December 14, 1799, buried at Mount Vernon, Virginia. Revolutionary commander and first U.S. president who secured independence and defined the presidency. Winston Churchill died January 24, 1965, buried at St. Martin's Churchyard, Blaydon, England. Defiant wartime leader who guided Britain through its darkest hours in World War II. Joseph Stalin died March 5, 1953, buried at Kremlin Wall Necropolis, Moscow. Dictator who industrialized the USSR through terror and ruled with absolute control. Franklin D. Roosevelt died April 12, 1945, buried at Hyde Park, New York. Four-term president who led America through the Great Depression and World War II. Che Guevara died October 9, 1967, buried at the Mausoleum of Che Guevara, Santa Clara, Cuba. Marxist guerrilla whose image became a global symbol of revolt. Ronald Reagan died June 5, 2004, buried at Reagan Library, California. Former actor turned president who transformed conservatism and challenged the Soviet Union. Diana, Princess of Wales, died August 31, 1997, buried on an island at Althorpe Estate, England. Global icon whose death sparked worldwide mourning and pressured change within the monarchy. Rameses II died circa 1213 BC, buried in tomb Cave 7 in the Valley of the Kings. Egypt's most powerful pharaoh, ruling for decades at the height of empire. John F. Kennedy died November 22, 1963, buried at Arlington National Cemetery, Virginia. Assassinated president whose brief tenure defined the Cold War era and advanced civil rights. Queen Victoria died January 22, 1901, buried at Frogmore Mausoleum, Windsor. Her reign oversaw Britain's vast imperial expansion and cultural influence. Martin Luther King Jr. died April 4, 1968, buried at King Center, Georgia. Assassinated civil rights leader whose nonviolent activism transformed American society. Mao Zedong died September 9, 1976, entombed in the Chairman Mao Memorial Hall, Beijing. Revolutionary who founded the People's Republic of China and ruled for decades. Harry S. Truman died December 26, 1972, buried at Truman Library, Missouri. Ended World War II and steered early Cold War strategy. Sun Tzu died circa 496 BC, buried in a memorial park in Suzhou, China. Ancient general whose work, The Art of War, has influenced military strategy for over 2 millennia. Theodore Roosevelt died January 6, 1919, buried at Young's Memorial Cemetery, New York. Progressive reformer, Rough Rider, and dynamic national leader. Margaret Thatcher died April 8, 2013, cremated, ashes interred at the Royal Hospital, Chelsea, London. Iron Lady who recast British politics and modern conservatism. Otto von Bismarck, died July 30, 1898, buried at Friedrichsruh, Germany. Architect of German unification and first chancellor who reshaped European power politics. George H.W. Bush, died November 30, 2018, buried at Bush Library, Texas. Led the nation through the Cold War's end and achieved victory in the Gulf War. Queen Elizabeth II, died September 8, 2022, buried at St. George's Chapel, Windsor. Britain's longest reigning monarch and global symbol of continuity. Saddam Hussein, died December 30, 2006, buried near Al-Auja, Iraq. Dictator overthrown after the U.S.-led invasion and later executed following conviction for crimes. Woodrow Wilson, died February 3, 1924, buried at Washington National Cathedral, Washington, D.C. World War I president and founder of the League of Nations. Fidel Castro, died November 25, 2016. Ashes interred at Santa Ifigenia Cemetery, Santiago de Cuba. Revolutionary who ruled Cuba for nearly 5 decades. Vladimir Lenin, died January 24, 1924. Entombed in Lenin Mausoleum, Moscow. Founder of the Soviet state, whose ideology transformed global politics. John Adams died July 4, 1826, buried in Quincy, Massachusetts. Founding father, diplomat, and second president who helped win independence from Great Britain. Augustus, died August 19, AD 14. Be buried at the Mausoleum of Augustus, Rome. First emperor who turned Rome into a stable imperial power. Nelson Mandela, died December 5, 2013. Buried in Kunu, South Africa. Anti-apartheid leader who became the nation's first black president. Frederick Douglass, died February 20, 1895. Buried at Mount Hope Cemetery, Rochester, New York. Former slave turned leading voice for abolition and civil rights. George VI, died February 6, 1952. Buried at St. George's Chapel, Windsor. Wartime king who led Britain through World War II and oversaw imperial transition. Ho Chi Minh, died September 2, 1969. Entombed at Ho Chi Minh Mausoleum, Hanoi. Revolutionary leader who founded North Vietnam and fought colonial rule. Ulysses S. Grant, died July 23, 1885. Buried at Grant's Tomb, New York City. Union general who secured victory in the Civil War and later served 2 presidential terms. Konrad Adenauer, died April 19, 1967. Buried at Waldfriedhof in Rundorf, Germany. First Chancellor of West Germany, steering post-war recovery. Benito Mussolini, died April 28, 1945. Buried in the Mussolini family crypt at San Cassiano Cemetery, Italy. Fascist dictator whose alliance with Hitler led Italy into catastrophe. Dwight D. Eisenhower, died March 28, 1969. Buried at Eisenhower Library, Kansas. World War II Supreme Allied Commander and peacetime president who strengthened U.S. global influence. Richard the Lionheart, died April 6, 1199. Heart buried at Rouen Cathedral, entrails at Charroux Abbey, and body at Fontevraud Abbey, France. Crusader king famed for battlefield courage, ruling England during the Third Crusade. Karl Marx, died March 14, 1883. Buried at Highgate Cemetery, London. Philosopher whose ideas transformed politics, economics, and revolutionary movements worldwide. James Madison, died June 28, 1836. Buried at Montpelier, Virginia. Architect of the Constitution and 4th president who guided the nation through the War of 1812. Kim Il-sung, died July 8, 1994. Entombed at the Kumsusan Palace of the Sun, Pyongyang. founder of North Korea and declared eternal president after death. Joan of Arc, died May 30th, 1431. Ashes scattered in the River Seine after execution in Rouen. Led French forces by claimed divine guidance before capture, trial, and martyrdom. Andrew Jackson, died June 8, 1845. Buried at the Hermitage, Tennessee. Populist president and war hero whose legacy includes territorial expansion and forced native removals. Mahatma Gandhi, died January 30, 1948. Cremated at Rajghat, India. Led India to independence through nonviolence, inspiring global civil rights movements. Elizabeth I, died March 24, 1603. Buried at Westminster Abbey, London. Last Tudor monarch whose long reign defined the Elizabethan age and England's ascent. Malcolm X, died February 21, 1965. Buried at Ferncliff Cemetery, New York. Influential activist whose ideas redefined Black identity and global resistance. Mother Teresa, died September 5, 1997. Buried in Kolkata, India. Founder of the Missionaries of Charity, renowned worldwide for humanitarian work among the poor. Douglas MacArthur, died April 5, 1964. Buried at the MacArthur Memorial, Virginia. Five-star general who commanded Allied forces in the Pacific and influenced early Cold War strategy. Lyndon B. Johnson, died January 22, 1973. Buried at LBJ Ranch, Texas. Took office after Kennedy's death, expanded civil rights, and deepened U.S. involvement in Vietnam. Henry VIII, died January 28, 1547. Buried at St. George's Chapel, Windsor. 6 marriages and religious upheaval permanently recast England. Benjamin Franklin, died April 17, 1790. Buried at Christ Church Burial Ground, Philadelphia. Influential polymath who advanced American independence and diplomacy. Simón Bolívar, died December 17, 1830. Buried at the National Pantheon, Caracas. Liberator who led multiple nations to independence from Spanish rule. Sitting Bull, died December 15, 1890. Buried at Mobridge, South Dakota. Lakota leader who resisted U.S. expansion and helped defeat Custer at Little Bighorn. Charlemagne, died January 28, 814. Buried at Aachen Cathedral, Germany. Medieval emperor who unified much of Western Europe and laid foundations for the Holy Roman Empire. Richard Nixon, died April 22, 1994. Buried at the Nixon Presidential Library, Yorba Linda, California. Only U.S. president to resign, ending his career after Watergate. Oliver Cromwell, died September 3, 1658. Originally buried at Westminster Abbey. Led England as Lord Protector after the Civil Wars. Alexander Hamilton, died July 12, 1804. Buried at Trinity Churchyard, New York City. First Treasury Secretary, architect of U.S. finance, killed in a duel. Confucius, died 479 BC. Buried at the Cemetery of Confucius in Khufu, China. Philosopher whose teachings molded Chinese ethics, governance, and culture. James K. Polk, died June 15, 1849. Buried at the Tennessee State Capitol, Nashville. Expansionist president who added vast Western territory to the United States. Shinzo Abe, died July 8, 2022. Funeral held at Zojoji Temple in Tokyo. Japan's longest-serving prime minister, assassinated during a campaign speech in Nara. Pope John Paul II, died April 2, 2005. Buried beneath St. Peter's Basilica, Vatican City. Influential pope who revitalized global Catholicism and opposed communism. Charles de Gaulle, died November 9, 1970. Buried at Colombe-les-Deux Églises, France. led Free France in Wabuhu and founded the modern French Republic. Mikhail Gorbachev, died August 30, 2022, buried at Novodevichy Cemetery, Moscow. Last Soviet leader whose reforms hastened the collapse of the USSR. Herbert Hoover, died October 20, 1964, buried in West Branch, Iowa. Engineer-president remembered for humanitarian work and leadership during the Great Depression. David Ben-Gurion, died December 1, 1973, buried at Sde Boker, Israel. Founder of Israel and its first prime minister, who defined the modern state's early course. Hirohito, died January 7, 1989, buried at Musashi Imperial Graveyard, Tokyo. Longest reigning emperor who presided over Japan's war, defeat, and post-war recovery. Josip Broz Tito, died May 4, 1980, buried at the House of Flowers, Belgrade. Communist leader who united Yugoslavia and balanced between NATO and Soviet blocs. Peter the Great, died February 8, 1725, buried at Peter and Paul Cathedral, St. Petersburg. Modernized Russia and elevated it into a major European power. Thurgood Marshall, died January 24, 1993, buried at Arlington National Cemetery. Civil rights giant and first African-American justice on the U.S. Supreme Court. Francisco Franco, died November 20, 1975, buried at Mingorubio Cemetery, Madrid. Ruled Spain for decades after winning the Spanish Civil War. Sun Yat-sen, died March 12, 1925, buried at Sun Yat-sen Mausoleum, Nanjing. Founder of modern China and ideological father of the Republic.